Hey folks, Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO. We are excited about where the show has gone. Let me slide that a little bit. See that Maple Street biscuit right there? They have literally become one of our supporters. I'm excited because in September, we will start Breakfast with Troy. Probably be about a 3 times a week show. And it literally will be right here at Maple Street. We got approval from the corporate offices while I was on the road. I'm stoked about where this is going to take us. I know we're beefing up some internet connection. If we're a little low today, I apologize. If I'm a little tired, I apologize. Due to the fact that this week ended our 3 weeks on the road. As you guys know, Tessa had our grandchild. This is the first grandchild from Tessa and Hunter, a beautiful baby boy, Charlie Keaton Pruitt, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 20 inches long, I believe. Not that I'm keeping track of all this stuff, just so you guys know. The DS Edge, another great supporter of ours. I will be speaking at that event October 17th and 18th in Dallas, Texas. Strongly suggest, if you're looking at launching a company, maybe you've plateaued, or you just want to get in-depth information on where the trends are going just inside the direct sales industry. There's some big shifts that have taken place, a lot of regulatory shifts that are taking place. I strongly suggest checking it out, being there. You can go to dsedge.com to get that going. I want to give a shout out this morning to Gregory Napier. Gregory and I, man, we connect on Facebook, but here's something cool. He sent me a website called the Church for Entrepreneurs, and what really caught my attention was their intentional connection. They are working in the entrepreneurial space, Main Street America, if you will, where the whole focus is to eliminate within the business, within the marketplace, any type of racial division. They just really connect across that. I want to look at some of the companies that we've got rolling. Keller Williams, this is interesting. Wall Street Journal reported on that this week, that Keller Williams has entered the new digital economy. They're starting to use algorithms for home sales. Here's how they're doing that. If they can identify a home that literally could be bought at a discount, then they are using OfferPad, which is a depository, if you will, a database of cash buyers, people that are willing to just go out there and buy that house. So for a long time, we've been wondering, can there be a connection between that traditional Main Street, that direct selling marketer, or moving into a new digital economy using the artificial intelligence, using algorithms. And Keller Williams made that jump a few months ago, but now they're really pushing that big. That's another market, another channel for their reps, and that's something that I think is a pretty powerful move right there. Going on, let's look at some of this. I've had several people this week hit us on, hey, what's going to happen with all of the class action lawsuits on the robocalls? Literally settled, or they're in the process of settling, for about $12 a violation. Now, this is far below the largest court-ordered settlement, which is $925 million. The way the law is written, you can be charged up to $500 per violation. Here's why I'm bringing this up. If you're in a company where you have received a robocall, if you run a company and you're using robo-dialers, I strongly suggest that you guys stop. Our big deal was email and fax on demand. And we literally watched that industry to where every policy and procedure today has in there that you can't do fax on demand, you can't send email spam. And it's because that's what was there. Today it's robo-dialers. We got federal bills coming across. You got to be careful, guys, on how you're addressing that. Let's look at something else here. This is going to be a longer cast today because we've got so much to cover. Influence marketing. This is interesting. Our whole firm has been built around influence marketing, from the first blog that we launched to all the stuff we're doing today. When you go back to 2015, there were right around 3,900, maybe 4,000 search results if you looked up influence marketers. Today, that has grown to over 61,000 that are out there. When we launched our firm, there was about 190 advertising, branding firms that focused on influence marketing. Some of those have gone on to just be giants today. But today there's over 740 that literally focus in on that influence marketing, the social networking part of that. Content marketing first launched the firm. We were writing articles left and right for what were called content mills. They just had massive amounts of content that went out, but a lot of it was crappy, and Google just cut that off. I mean, it was a whole industry that shifted to where now it is upscale, totally 100% professional. We really do like where that's going. I think in 2015, the market ended up about 1.7 billion in revenue that year. By the end of this year, that will literally have boosted itself to about 6. That is something that, I'm gonna rabbit trail for a minute. When Paige and I got married, I knew nothing about writing. That was not my forte. But being a best-selling romance writer, she really did tweak some of that, gave me some inspiration, and literally became the guide for me, who really helped me create the content that's still out there. I mean, it's amazing. So if you're in a company, if you're a personal brand, and you're saying, hey, how do I really build this out? You really need to team up with some influencers. Today, we're an influence over at Amazon. There's a lot of different places that you can push and find influencers out there. So you need to focus on that if you're going to build something and do it right. And on that note, let me segue for a second. I'll get back to regulations in a minute. But the other thing, I had a conversation yesterday with one of my strategic business partners, Mel Atwood, over at Invex, and we were talking about the company message. And he had called me and said, hey, man, and one of our clients, I'm just disconnected. We'd just gotten off a phone call. We were focusing in on what that client is doing. And when we got off, he said, I just missed it. I said, I think the message is clear. We're just too close to the forest to see the trees. And here's what I mean. The company, any company, if you've got a message, it's not about your products. It's literally about what it is you're standing for. So you've got to have a clear message on what your purpose and what your stance is. But at the same time, you've got to be able to create that narrative so that the actual visitor to your website, the potential prospect, if you will, sees themselves in the story. Okay, I've read every manuscript she put out, every bestseller she wrote, and one of the things that she was able to teach me, and now we see this across the board with branding firms, but she taught me how to get myself inside that story. And when I started looking back at some of the other authors that I'd read, same thing. Those books, those stories, those movies that you get passionate about, that become iconic, if you will, is because you can see yourself in the story. Let's look at this for a minute from a brand standpoint. Starbucks, Maple Street Biscuits, Apple, doesn't matter what it is. You feel like you're part of it. And that's what you've got to do with your storyline if you're going to make this work. Hey, let's look at some of the companies that are out there that have been making some moves this month. New Skin made the Forbes Best in State list. Avon doubled down on its women's scholarships for the foundation they've put together. Monet raised $173,000 for nonprofits. Plexus, this is good. Plexus is partnering with Feeding America. They're really pushing into helping. I don't know if you guys know it, but children literally go to bed hungry, okay, every night. Push forward, push into this is huge to me. Canaway just joined the European Industrial Hemp Council. I was there in the beginning when Canaway got its start. They've got a phenomenal leadership team over there right now. The Schroeders and some of their other field leaders and even corporate leaders just blowing and going internationally. Proud of where those guys have taken this thing. Trying to see what we've got. You guys know I don't like to keep you long. I'm going to move into the regulations for a second. In your guys' respective states, I recommend to your senators, House Bill 3522, which is Preserving Direct Sellers Act. That's what it's called, the PDSA Act. This is important. In 1986, President Reagan signed into law a tax reform bill. In that bill, it was the first time that direct sellers were actually classified as independent contractors. Now, the IRS sees us as statutory non-employees. That's why companies cut the comp plan, when they change policies, but it's basically we're a work at will type deal. Big time in California. I was just in a trial this week where this came up. But this bill right here is very important, because what it will do if we can get it passed is it will put new specific language in the tax code 3508. It will put specific language in the Fair Labor Standard Act that literally makes it very clear that a direct seller is an independent contractor, which means the companies aren't going to have to go back and write giant checks for back labor taxes, stuff like this. This is a big deal. I also suggest you can do a Google search on this if you want to. You can do a Google search on IRS Circular E. You can also do a IRS Publication 911 Direct Sellers. These are two phenomenal documents for you to better understand the industry that you're in, how you're taxed, what you can write off, what you can't. There's also good CPAs out there that can work with you if you want them to, on Facebook and stuff. But phenomenal. That's all she does is focus on direct sellers. I won't say that. 99% of her business is that way. It'll be a good win. Hey, something else that came up this week that I thought was phenomenal. Garrett and Sylvia McGrath, president of the A&MP, has joined Elapreneurs at a corporate level. Now, they've got Keith Halls over there now. They've got Garrett and Sylvia over there now. I believe that company, they've did phenomenal growth, but you guys have heard me criticize the fact that they've burnt through so much cash as a pubco. I believe some of these shifts that they have made, some of the moves the board of directors has made, is going to clean that up to where all the hard work from these folks in the field is going to turn into profits. And at the end of the day, and you guys, if you're a client, you know I believe in this. The only way for a company's shareholders to gain in value is to be able to protect that end user, that customer. If you can put out a quality product to the end user, if you can give a solid home to that distributor, that professional there that is marketing those products, then that will definitely bring in the revenue, and then it's up to the outright. So you've got to look at that. This week I put up a question more than anything else on Facebook, asking if the 100-day action in China, all the disruption in Hong Kong, was going to have a long-term effect on direct sales. The reason I asked that is because we're already seeing from pubcos a decrease in revenues for the second quarter. Something else that we're seeing is some of the private companies that I've talked to. Some of the private companies that I've talked to have also shown a downward shift. Now, China is the largest market in the Asia-Pacific region. And for you guys that don't know, let's look at this for a minute. The Asia-Pacific region is China, Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Taiwan, Thailand, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Philippines and Australia. Giant landmass, not so much in the people, except maybe in India and China. If China cuts off all direct sales, then the question is going to be, will this shift things? One of the influencers in direct selling, Jeff Welch, made a statement this week in that post that really caught my attention, and it was basically the legal versus illegal activities in these countries. And I believe what we're going to be seeing is a lot of these countries that we have seen as non-industrialized countries will start utilizing the World Federation of Direct Sales. They'll start looking at the model that has been put into place in Australia, Japan, the United States, Europe, to say, okay, either going to play right or not at all. We already saw this in the Philippines this week when a U.S. citizen was arrested for running. Product is, no matter what your service is, no matter what the company is, I strongly suggest do it right or don't do it at all. 46% of all sales, indirect sales, come out of this region. If you see a big shift, if these countries all start to really break this out, then a lot of you guys that are not in companies that are doing it right, maybe you guys are using a not for resale type of model or something, you haven't registered. It could be devastating, not just to the bottom line, but to actually field leaders who lose their organization. So be cautious on that. What happened out there? I was an expert witness in a trial, had spent several months putting together what my testimony would be, did my deposition, and I came up against a phenomenal law CPA. forensic expert, knows how to dig in and find the missing money, if you will, inside of any financial statement. And when I was asked my opinion of his review, I was very clear that I believed his end result was not accurate. Part of the report was on the wrong premise. He wasn't looking at the company as a direct sales company and as one as the top 100. There's no way to deny with just a little bit of due diligence that it is a direct sales company. This case happened to be against a distributor, and he wanted to list that distributorship as being worth millions of dollars. And because of that, and when they asked him, how did you come to this conclusion? He said, well, the reason I came to this conclusion is because a GNC franchise would be worth this. That was basically his argument. It was not true, especially in this specific situation. The policies and procedures in which this distributorship has to operate under literally does make it a statutory non-employee. The value of this distributorship would be in the individual himself. And as we know, a few years ago, at least in the United States, we banned the sale of human beings. So there's no way that you can just put a price tag on this. You've got to look at several things. But what this showed me was there's an ignorance within the professional community. This CPA went on to say, well, even if this was a direct sales company, there's very little regulations in the direct selling field. Again, ignorance to the facts. He had never before done a valuation on a direct selling company or a distributorship, but because of his credentials, this was the other interesting part. Understand, I've got 37 years in the direct sales arena. There's very little that I haven't done in this profession. One such role would be that of a formulator. I've never formulated a product, but we've bought and sold companies, bought and sold distributorships, helped take companies public. There's the long track record. And the opposing attorney to the judge said, well, why should we take Mr. Dooley's opinion as expert when we have a CPA with all these credentials? And I'm pretty sure the judge understood having credentials, having an education is a plus. Every attorney has that. But if you do not specifically specify and to get the information wrong. In this case here, I don't know where it's going to go, but I definitely know that if you're in the direct selling business, you need to know what the policies and procedures are for your company. If you get into a domestic situation, a civil or even a criminal case, you better understand, you better have an attorney who understands your business. It's very important. There's plenty of legal firms out there that do understand the legal side of direct sales. The tax strongly suggest that. One of the things that we've done with our firm is literally now we have brought in a CPA so that we have somebody on staff, if you will, who will be able to take and really dig in as a peer, CPA to CPA, to really dig into these things. Very important. From a regulation standpoint, one of the things that we see in California, they're pushing heavy right now to eliminate the independent consultant position. We saw they're attacked on Lyft and Uber. They are attacking the direct selling arena indirectly. So far, the lobbying groups out there have held firm. I believe if we can get the new federal law passed, it's going to be a benefit so that we don't have that situation. I don't think anybody, well, think about it for a second. We all get frustrated as it is because of the rules and regulations of our policies and procedures. I don't think any of you want to be an employee of one of these companies that can be hired and fired at will. That makes it even worse. So, that's it for this week. We've had some great stuff. Oh, wait a minute. I had one more note. I'm going to finish up on a high note. I think you guys will like this. Direct Selling News brought out the top digital 100 for last month. Social media size with 21,480,000 engagements is Avon Products. Number 2 was Herbalife. Number 3, Mary Kay. Number 4, Beachbody. Number 5, doTERRA. Number 6, Young Living. Number 7, Sensei. Number 8, Lavelle. Number 9, Nu Skin. Number 10, Jeunesse. I'm not going to go through the whole report. Social media, full-blown engagement where there's communication back and forth. Perfectly Posh took over 15% of this in the direct selling market. Stream Energy had 11%. It Works had 10%. Rodan and Fields 9%. Color Street 9%. Pure 9%. Team National 9%. Beauty Counter 8%. Nadera 5%. And Beachbody was, hang on here, let's look at that. They were 5%. Now here's what's important before I move on to the next two engagements here. The size, the scope, how much that people are seeing you out there is a far different piece than the engagement. You know, you can have a lot of it just doesn't matter. Okay, and that's what you've got to think of. Now here's another good one right here. 30-day unique visitors. These are people that have engaged from social media and then hit the website. And you know, a lot of times we think we know the truth, but we don't. And this one here was pretty stellar, I thought. Young Living had 728,000 views to the website. Just unique visitors, brand new, old, it doesn't matter. They were unique that hit the website. doTERRA was number 2, Beachbody number 3, Norora was number 4, Rodan and Fields 7, Arbonne number 8, Beauty Counter number 9, and Avon number 10. Notice how these shift in each category. It's interesting. You can go to dsn.com. You can get this information over there. 30-day page views. These are the ones that had the most page views of all others. This is very important. Number 1, Young Living with 24,700,000. doTERRA 20,500,000. Melaleuca 19,100,000. Amway 16,500,000. Arbonne, Medifast had 6 million. Rodan and Fields 5.7, Ambit Energy 5.6, Isogenics 5.4, and It Works 5.2. This is very important. When you think you're doing the engagement right and you're not, if you're a company and you're not focused on this correctly, you ought to be. There's some really positive ways to make that social media engagement work using influence marketing, using some analytics, using stuff. Guys, just don't be out there trying to buy likes, trying to buy friends, trying to buy clicks. It doesn't work. That's not true engagement today. Everyone knows. So, hey, you all have a great one. Like I said, Maple Street Biscuit Company, #1 supporter. We are now going live at their establishment. I'm excited about that. I want to thank the corporate team. You guys are just the best out there to allow us to really hit Main Street entrepreneurism the way we're supposed to. So stay humble, stay strong, and listen, you've been hearing the voice of Main Street America.